I love playing here. It's been a great 5 years, and I'm looking forward to another 5.
Armed with his new contract, Greg Maddux will be put on the firing line right away as the Braves try to salvage a split in the 4-game series. But it won't be easy as the Marlins send their ace, Kevin Brown, to the mound. Braves-Marlins next on the Superstation. The Atlanta Braves lead is down to 4.5 games in the National League East. Tonight, the final regular season meeting between the Florida Marlins and the Atlanta Braves. Hi, everybody. Pete Van Wieren welcoming you to Turner Field in Atlanta. The Braves and the Marlins for the final time during the regular season. Classic pitching matchup, Greg Maddux against Kevin Brown. Of course, the big story yesterday, Greg Maddux signing a 5-year, $57.5 million contract extension. No question about the fact he's one of the best pitchers of our era with 4 Cy Youngs. But Total Baseball, the official baseball encyclopedia of the major leagues, has uncovered a very elite list that Maddux now belongs to. By winning 15 games this year, Maddux has done that 10 straight years. Only 9 pitchers in the history of the game have done that 10 or more consecutive years. And the other 8, Cy Young, Gaylord Perry, Christy Mathewson, Jim Galvin, Warren Spahn, Walter Johnson, Tim Keefe, and Kid Nichols, are all in the Hall of Fame. So the big question about Greg Maddux, will he sign, will he not sign, Don, has been answered. He has signed. Were you surprised?
At first, and you and I have talked about this, Pete, I thought Greg Maddux might be moving on. I thought he might want to play a little bit closer to home. It doesn't surprise me that money was the business-like approach. Greg Maddux never has wanted to be the highest-paid player just for the money's sake. I think it was the businessman in him yesterday that said he wanted to set a standard for pitchers. Now, am I surprised that he's here? No. A lot of things go into why a player stays at one place or goes to another. Will they catch the ball? Will they score me runs? Do they have a chance to win and go to series? How much are they going to pay me? But one big thing is it an atmosphere that will allow me to be me and play comfortably? With Bobby Cox, if you can't play, if you're a man and you act like a man, which Greg Maddux does, and if you can't play for Bobby Cox, you can't play. So thinking it through, that he would leave this atmosphere, no, I'm not surprised that he's here.
His first start since signing that new contract just around the corner as he matches up with Kevin Brown. Back with all the action from Atlanta right after this.
White to lead it off. Renteria second. Sheffield hit third. The heart of the order has Bonilla, Conine, and Alou occupying those spots. Charles Johnson will catch bat 7th. Craig Cancel 8th, and Kevin Brown will complete it. Plesko, Lofton, and Tucker in the outfield. Jones, Belliard, Lemke, and McGriff around the horn. Perez behind the plate and on the mound, making his 25th start, Greg Maddux.
And his first pitch on the way to Devon White as we get this one underway from Turner Field upstairs to Devon White. Ball 1. Devon hitting .231. No homers yet this year. 12 RBIs. A lot of games missed because of a variety of injuries.
This is only his 37th game tonight.
And he fouls that one away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Maddux is 6-1 lifetime against the Marlins. Good lifetime ERA, 2.47.
Here's what he's done to earn the respect of all the Braves fans and the Braves hierarchy. That's pretty impressive.
Just off the corner, and the count goes to 2-1. Jeff Kellogg calling the balls and strikes tonight. We've had a whole crew change in the umpiring group. We'll run those down for you in a moment. Here's the 2-1 pitch. And it's low, ball 3. Uncharacteristic of Maddux to fall behind 3-1. Kellogg, Dreckman, Rieker, and Marsh, your umpiring crew for the final game of this series. And they'll stick around for the Pirate series, which begins tomorrow night. Full count now, 3-2 on Devon White. Will be followed by Edgar Renteria and Gary Sheffield. Marlins have really handled the Braves this year. They've won 8 of 11 meetings. And down on strikes, and the changeup goes Devon White, 1 down.
How many times have we seen hitters take a 3-1 Maddux fastball right down the middle and then chase this out of the strike zone? He is the master at throwing a 3-2 change for an out.
That'll bring up shortstop Edgar Renteria, batting .272. He's 2 out of 9 in the series. 3 home runs, 38 RBIs in the year for the 22-year-old. Fouled away, 0-1.
Pete, it's going to be interesting to watch the Marlins approach. Remember, a lot of clubs in the National League think the best time to hit Maddux is on the first pitch. It's not going to be down the middle of the plate, but it's going to be the closest thing to a good pitch you're going to get.
That caught the outside corner, and the count quickly 0-2 on Renteria. Another sellout crowd here at Turner Field tonight. Beautiful night. Here's the 0-2. Strike 3 called, outside corner. Back-to-back strikeouts to start the game for Greg Maddux. And the batter will be Gary Sheffield.
Jeff Kellogg, following his reputation as being a pitcher's umpire, if you're in the neighborhood and you can consistently make the pitches, you're going to get them. It could be a long night for some hitters.
Sheffield just 2 for 12 in the series, hitting .243 on the year, 13 home runs. He's a .250 lifetime hitter against Maddux, 8 for 32 with 1 homer. Just a little bit low, ball 1. 2 outs, bases empty, just underway from Turner Field.
You think Eddie Perez has already figured out that the corner is a little liberal? Watch where he's going to set up on these pitches.
Fouled off by Sheffield, 1 ball, 1 strike, and it's almost as if he's going 1/8 of an inch further each pitch to see how far he can stretch it.
Right now, only his left thigh and knee are behind the plate. Everything else framing the mitt in the center of the chest protector, just off the outside corner.
1 ball, 1 strike on Sheffield, 2 outs. Going inside this time. And Sheffield rolls one to the shortstop, Rafael Belliard. A 1-2-3 start for Greg Maddux. Nothing doing for the Marlins in the top of the first. Braves coming up.
Here's the Braves batting order. Lofton, Tucker, and Jones, the first 3. The heart of the order, McGriff, Plesko, and Lemke. Eddie Perez, Rafael Belliard, and Greg Maddux will complete it. The Marlins defense has an outfield of Alou, White, and Sheffield. The infield, a good defensive one, Bonilla, Renteria, Counsell, and Konai, especially good up the middle. Behind the plate, Charles Johnson, and making his 25th start, 10-9 record. Kevin Brown. Here's what he's done as a Marlin. Very impressive, especially the earned run average and the strikeout total.
And his first pitch to Kenny Lofton sails high and away, ball 1. Lofton 344 in the year with 3 homers, 36 RBIs. He's 4 out of 13 in the series. Quickly 2-0 on Lofton. Lofton, Michael Tucker, and Chipper Jones. Still up here in the bottom half of the first.
I think I botched his 1-loss record, too. It's 10-8, not 10-9.
2-2 lifetime against the Braves, a .337 earned run average. And he has fallen behind 3-0 on Lofton. And on 4 straight, all of the pitches up, which is very unusual for Kevin Brown. Lofton draws a walk.
Sometimes the difference in the mound will cause that, Pete. If you're used to pitching off of a mound, like maybe it's a little higher, not quite as high. And secondly, it is virtually impossible to go into a ballpark and find a bullpen mound that's identical to the one out on the field. For some people, it takes a little adjustment. I'm not saying that that's it, but I have seen it happen.
Well, we'll see if he can throw a strike to Michael Tucker, hitting .275, 10 homers. Hitless in his last 14 at-bats. And that's upstairs.
And if it's being caused by rushing, getting in a little bit of a hurry, maybe hypered up a little, going to the stretch will sometimes calm that down.
And there's the first strike thrown by Kevin Brown. 1 ball, 1 strike. Michael among several Braves outfielders who've been in batting slumps. Bobby Cox, after yesterday's game, particularly questioning his offense, wondering when it's going to start clicking again. The runs have been few and far between the last few weeks. 1-2 the count now on Michael Tucker. Andrew out of the lineup tonight.
You got to wonder if not playing full time like he was might have contributed to it a little bit too.
When you think about it, the last couple of weeks, about the only hot hitters in the Braves lineup consistently have been Kenny Lofton and Chipper Jones. A lot of slumps, and there have been some ups and downs among other hitters who've gotten hot for a few days and cooled right off again. Still a ball and 2 strikes and Michael Tucker. Tell you what, if you're a left-hand hitter and you're prone to fouling balls off your feet,
Get ready.
get ready with this guy out there. He has such late movement on his pitches, and they just kind of hone in on left-hand hitters.
Yeah, you'd think he'd have that shin guard on after the way Brown caused himself to beat his foot up last week.
Here's the 1-2, and that's low and inside, 2-2. Chipper Jones on deck, no score, bottom of the first.
You know, a number I don't think we look at enough. We show a pitcher's won-loss record a lot of times, and it may not be the most important record that he has. How the team does in his starts. I know with Greg Maddux, the Braves are 19-5 in his 24 starts. He's gotten 4 less wins, but there have been 2 losses. But on Kevin Brown, he's 10-8. But in the games he has not finished and got the decision, they're 4-1.
Little roller to the right side. Brown will field this one himself and take it to the bag. In time to get Tucker down to second, Kenny Lofton. 1 gone, that'll bring up Chipper Jones. Chipper comes in at .312. He has 18 home runs, and his RBI total for the year up to 94. In the National League RBI race, Chipper currently 5th. Andres Galarraga 109, Jeff Bagwell 102, Larry Walker 97, Tony Gwynn 96. One out, runner second. 1 ball, no strikes. Chipper has hit safely in 16 of those last 17 games. Off the corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's the 1-1 on the way. It's now 2-1 on Chipper Jones.
A bit different hitting against him than it would be against Greg Maddux. You can almost set on a changeup on Maddux, but with Brown, you're not going to see many off-speed pitches. You better gear for some heat.
2-2 the count. Now, what makes his fastball so difficult to hit is the late movement. Mark Lemke, talking about that the other day, said he can't think of a pitcher where the ball moves so much at the very last 5-6 feet.
Usually a guy who has late movement has a very flexible wrist. He doesn't muscle the ball. And him a little bit like Bob Gibson. Remember, Gibson had late movement, but both of them pull off to the side.
Just off the corner, full count, 3-2.
They're not right straight over the top. They're not your typical 12-6 delivery. They're coming out of about 10 o'clock. So you're going to get some sailing and some sinking movement.
Now a 3-2 on the way to Chipper Jones, and he fouled it off his foot. There's the first one of the night. This will happen again to a left-hand hitter.
Remember what Michael Tucker said when he fouled it off down in Florida? Jeff Porter reaches him, and the first thing he said to Jeff Porter was, and Chipper told me not to swing at that pitch. Now Chipper's not taking his own advice, right off the top of the foot.
And you're going to see this over and over again off left-hand hitters against Kevin Brown.
Chipper looks like he has a little bit of a high instep, so that arch is going to be high up there in the shoes, and that one fouled right down on the highest point on the foot.
He walks it off, and he'll step back in. Another 3-2 pitch will be upcoming from Kevin Brown.
Watch it hit right on top of the foot, right on the laces.
One man out. Lofton down at second. A 3-2 pitch due now to Chipper Jones again from Kevin Brown. And he loses him on a walk. Second walk of the inning issued by Kevin Brown. And that'll bring up Fred McGriff. McGriff hitting .280, 15 home runs, 67 RBIs. He's 4-9 in this series. Aggravated that hamstring a little bit again yesterday in his final at bat.
Marlin right-handers have been pretty much one-dimensional against Fred McGriff. Pound them away, only come in occasionally. Hard stuff out away from him.
And that's where Brown starts him and misses out there. Ball one. Fists up into the crowd. 1 ball, 1 strike on Fred McGriff. Now Charles Johnson wants to talk it over with Kevin Brown. Johnson has caught all 4 games in this series. Normally he gets a weekend day game off. But Jim Leyland, knowing the importance of this series, gave him a day off in Pittsburgh in the 2-game series prior to this one. So he'd be available for all 4 games in this series. And he got an additional break, getting some cool weather over the weekend. Here's the 1-1. Up and away, 2-1. When the Braves and Marlins started this 8 games out of 12 back in Florida on July 31st, the Braves had a 7.5 game lead. So the Marlins are going to chop into that lead a little bit. If the Braves win tonight, it'll be 5.5. If the Marlins win tonight, they'll have chopped into it considerably, down to 3.5. And then it becomes scoreboard watching the rest of the year for these two teams. They don't see each other anymore. 2-1 pitch to McGriff. High again, ball 3. 2 walks in the inning already from Kevin Brown. He's behind 3-1 on McGriff.
With Kenny Lofton back in the lineup, another reason, too, that Jim Leyland might want to leave Johnson in there is that if you are thinking of running, he kind of puts a stop to that. Braves haven't successfully stolen when he's been back there.
Here's the 3-1 offering, and there's the 3rd walk of the inning, issued by Kevin Brown. Bases loaded with 1 out now for Ryan Klesko.
Brown only averages 2.5 per 9 innings, so he's already exceeded his quota. And if it's anything mechanical, the only thing I can see is he is pulling just a little bit more toward first base. And if you clear the left side out and you're a guy who throws 3/4 anyway, that's going to cause you to drop even more. And usually the effect is something up and away from left-handers.
Larry Rothschild out to the mound. And Ryan Klesko will step in. Klesko at .247, 18 home runs, 65 RBIs. He's been in the deepest slump of anybody on this club. 3 out of his last 41. Bases loaded, 1 out in the bottom of the 1st. Little chopper right back to Brown, to Johnson at home for 1, on to first, double play. Pitcher to home to first, double play, and out of the inning, despite 3 walks, is Kevin Brown. We go to the 2nd, no score from Turner Field. No score. We go to the top half of inning 2. Bobby Bonilla taking ball 1 from Maddux, hitting .310, 13 homers, and 71 RBIs. Lines this one over Rafael Belliard into left center field. Lofton over quickly. Sliding pickup by Lofton, but Bonilla's still going to have himself a leadoff double. And he becomes the first base runner of the night off of Greg Maddux. Jumping on the first pitch, 34th double of the year for Bonilla.
And some Tony Gwynn philosophy of hitting. You're not going to get one down the middle. So the first thing you get that looks like it's in the neighborhood of the plate, you better jump on it.
That'll bring up Jeff Conine back in the lineup today against the right-hander. He has been platooning lately with Darren Dalton, but he had a hot bat in the game yesterday. Had a home run and a single and 4 at-bats, so he's back out there today against Maddux. And takes a strike in the outside corner. Another reason he's back out there today, he's 9 for 25, a .360 lifetime average against Greg Maddux. Play to the right 0-2. Braves made a roster move today, by the way. Keith Lockhart, who's been bothered by a pulled muscle in his right side, had to go on the disabled list, and Ed Giovanola was recalled today and rejoined the team from Richmond. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Just off the outside corner, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Boy, doesn't that show you the advantage of having your AAA farm club close by?
Now the 1-2. In the air to right field and deep. Back goes Tucker. He'll make the catch for the out. Tagging at second, Bonilla. He'll move on over to third. And a runner at third now for the Marlins with 1 down for Moises Alou.
Pretty good adjustment by Conine. As we saw yesterday, he wasn't handling anything out away from him. Jumped on the pitch inside, but that time, and he should get congratulated for coming in. Stayed close, stayed on the ball, got it in the air. He looked like he was trying to hit it to the right side, got the job done.
Alou, 296 on the year, 15 home runs. And 86 runs driven in. Infield's going to play in for Atlanta.
Normally that means you're not looking for a high-scoring game, are you?
And the first pitch of the night to Alou is hit high in the air, shallow center field, coming hard. Kenny Lofton coming hard. Michael Tucker. Lofton makes the catch, fires home. Having to hold at third, Bobby Bonilla. 2 down. And now Maddux with a chance to get out of this.
Infielders had no chance on this, so the outfielders had to come in and make the play. An off-balance throw by Lofton, but I think that shallow, you got to feel pretty secure that they're not going to challenge you. Might have been a good thing they didn't challenge him. That was a little bit up the line, wasn't it?
That'll bring up Charles Johnson, hitting .269, 15 home runs and 48 RBIs. 1 ball, no strikes. He's been the Marlins' hottest hitter since the All-Star break, a .376 average with 9 of his 15 homers since the break. Just off the corner, 2-0. No score. We're in the top of the second.
I don't know that I've ever seen a catcher and an umpire set up where one is not behind the other. But with Perez working that outside corner, Kellogg at inside corner umpire, that's 3 people there.
In the air again, right center field. Tucker making the call on this one. Long run, makes the sliding catch out there. And that's out number 3 in the top half of the second. So Maddux gets out of it after giving up the leadoff double. Still no score as we head to the bottom half of inning 2.
Time for us to remind you that our telecast is authorized under broadcasting rights granted by the Atlanta National League Baseball Club. Intended solely for the entertainment of our audience, any publication, rebroadcast, or retransmission of the pictures or descriptions of this game without the express written consent of the Atlanta National League Baseball Club is prohibited.
No score as we go to the bottom half of the second inning.
Here's what we were talking about. Look how far outside Eddie Perez is. Only his left foot behind the plate. Jeff Kellogg sitting over the inside corner. Got to be sure of your ability to call that outside pitch or the pitcher's ability to hit that corner, don't you?
And be alert on foul tips.
Yes. No protection.
1 ball, no strikes on Mark Lemke leading off here in the bottom of the second. Kind of a restructured lower half of the batting order for the Braves in this one. Javi Lopez normally would hit in the 6th spot, but he doesn't catch when Maddux pitches normally, so Eddie Perez hitting 7th. Jeff Blauser might hit 6th if he's in the lineup, but he's not playing tonight. His foot's still bothering him. So Mark Lemke moved up to the 6th hole. Perez 7th, and Belliard hits 8th. Lemke 241 for the year. He's 2 for 9 in the series, and he takes a strike in the outside corner, 1 and 2. Didn't mean to. Well, at first you think you're going to get hit by a pitch, and it winds up being a foul ball. Still 1 and 2.
And I think the ultimate humiliation is if that goes fair.
And we've seen that happen. Again, the 1-2. He went, says plate umpire Jeff Kellogg. And that's the first strikeout for Brown.
Well, Lemke tried to follow Chipper Jones and Michael Tucker's advice. That's lay off that down and in slider, but it looked like he carried it a little bit too far over the plate.
1 gone. That'll bring up Eddie Perez, the catcher, batting .230 on the year with 5 homers. Kevin Brown walked 3 men in the first inning, got out of it with a pitcher to home to first double play ball to Ryan Klesko. Getting ahead of hitters so far in this inning.
A little less animated in his motion, too. Can't you see that it's not quite as quick and a little bit more time to compose himself for the pitches?
Way outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. He has a lot of friends and family in the crowd tonight, does Kevin Brown. He lives in Macon in the offseason. Played his college ball here at Georgia Tech. Long pass list. Two and 1. Here's the 2-1 on the way now to Perez, and he bounces one toward third. Bonilla waits for the hop. Across the first in time, 2 down. And that'll bring up Rafael Belliard in at shortstop tonight, batting .250 on the year. The National League version of Mr. October.
He always seems to be playing somewhere in October, doesn't he?
Beginning with the Pittsburgh Pirates before he ever came over to the Braves. 0-1 the count. One ball, 1 strike, 2 outs.
I don't know. If the Braves were to not make postseason play, you might see him out here taking ground balls at short.
He just plans on it. Here's the 1-1. Good fastball, 1 and 2. Inside corner, and he went around, says plate umpire Jeff Kellogg. Belliard appealing to check with the first base umpire, but Kellogg telling him, no, that was my call. And that's strikeout number 2 for Brown, a 1-2-3 inning. We've played 2. No score.
As you might expect, a pitching duel to this point. Good time right now to take a look at our Rogaine leaderboard. Our category tonight, National League earned run average leaders, those fellows who led the league in the earned run average for the last 5 seasons. Greg Maddux is named very prominent there. And Kevin Brown, the other one. That was last year.
In the top of the third, Craig Counsell, then Kevin Brown, then Devon White. Counsell 375 since coming over from the Rockies. And has shown us some outstanding defense at second base.
And a little more bat than most people thought they were going to get.
1 ball, 1 strike, and Counsell. He had been playing most of the year at Colorado Springs. Had just been called up by the Rockies when they made the deal with the Marlins for pitcher Mark Hutton. He was hitting .335 in 95 games at Colorado Springs. Two and 1 the count.
Not very often do you get to see somebody that you knew as a kid and watch grow up, play successfully in the big leagues. It's kind of fun.
Off the end of the bat, 2 balls, 2 strikes. On this road trip, and it's the 6th game on the trip for the Marlins, he's 8 for 14. In the air to right center field and deep, going back. Tucker, he's not going to catch up on this one. Neither is Lofton. All the way to the wall. Counsell thinking about 3. He's going to try it. Lemke's relay throw to third is late. And it's a leadoff triple for Craig Counsell. His first major league triple. Hit number 2 off Maddux.
Perfectly placed. Got one up in the strike zone, hit it with a little pop. You got 2 guys with good speed there, but you couldn't drop it any better. And a little bit of a gamble, but there, sneak to peak. He's on his own from there. The only thing he wants to know from the third base coach is slide or don't slide.
And you've got a little better chance of making it here at Turner Field. That gap's a little bit deeper by about 15, 20 feet than it is in some of the other ballparks. Now the pitcher, Kevin Brown, a 143 hitter. No homers, 3 RBIs. He takes a strike in the outside corner. Well, Maddux had a runner at second, nobody out in the second inning. He got out of it. Now he's got a runner at third, nobody out. One ball, 1 strike on Kevin Brown. That's Rich Donnelly, the Marlins' third base coach. Caught the corner, 1-2.
Sometimes if you're at the ball game and you're wondering whether or not there's a squeeze play on, they'll give the signs, but one of the things you might look for is something unusual for a hitter, too, because there always has to be an answer.
Down on strikes, Kevin Brown. 3rd strikeout of the game for Maddux. Runner still at third, and Devon White will be the hitter. He struck out his first time up. Infield will stay in.
Counsell with good speed at third. See how the Marlins play it, if they play it on contact or if they have him stay at home on anything hit on the ground in the infield.
Maddux delivers, and White breaks his bat and sneaks one off the glove of Lemke into right field. That gets Counsell home, and the Marlins take a 1-0 lead. Devon White's 13th RBI of the year.
Tough task for Mark Lemke. Watch the barrel of the bat come right at him, and now the ball's going right under his glove, and that had to be a distraction, because that's a ball that I really think Lemke would have gotten a glove on without the bat cartwheeling out toward it. Watch where the head of the bat goes. His first step, then he hesitated, and then by that time it was a little late to get to the ball.
So the 3rd hit off Greg Maddux produces the first run of the night. Now Edgar Renteria, he struck out his first time. And Devon White chased back. The Marlins throughout these 8 games, the 4 in Florida last week and the 4 in Atlanta this weekend, have done a good job getting on the board early. Perez firing down at first, back safely is Devon White. But against some of these Brave starters, you get yourself in a hole early, it's pretty difficult to climb out. You get the early lead, pumps up everybody on your team.
That first run, I think maybe in a ball club you beat up on often, that's not that big a deal, but that first run in a tight series against a good ball club, it just changes the complexion. It means that other dugout's got to make 2 moves to get ahead. Got to do 2 things right.
Time was called just as Maddux was coming out of his stretch. One man out, runner at first. And 1 run in here in the top of the 3rd for the Marlins. We've seen Greg Maddux in situations like this, runner at first, good base runner, almost ignore the runner, go after the hitter, but down by a run now, paying a little more attention to Devon White. In the left field, base hit for Renteria. White will stop at second. That's the third hit of the inning off of Maddux, fourth of the game for the Marlins.
And all three of them were hits that found holes. Council's ball, a fly ball, a routine fly ball, 15 feet either way. The ball that White hit, a routine grounder, infield back, that's a ho-hum out. This one sneaks through, sinker. Ball that moved down and in, he just swung right over it, crossed the defense up a little bit because Belliard was about 2 or 3 steps towards second.
Now the dangerous Gary Sheffield. Sheffield grounded out to short his first time up. Runners now at first and second with 1 out. Sheffield, and Sheffield complains about it to plate umpire Jeff Kellogg.
Remember, it's not automatic when that hitter asks for time. You ask for it, but the umpire has to give it, and he thought that was a little too far along there. That is too far along. He's got no complaint. Sheffield's got no argument. Maddux had already kicked the leg up and started toward the plate. Right call by the umpire Jeff Kellogg.
So Sheffield finds himself in a hole 0-1 on a pitch he really was not prepared to swing at. Pickoff play at second. Devon White gets back.
Close, but still that does, the other thing that it does, it might shorten that lead by 1 step, even if you don't pick them off.
Outside corner in the count, 0-2.
Eddie Perez could get arrested tonight for grand theft. Where he is setting up and catching those balls, he is stealing strike after strike. What a great job by a catcher.
He's way out there this time.
That's amazing.
And didn't get the call. He maybe got a 1/4 of an inch too far outside.
Amazing that nobody from maybe their dugout or coaches or even the hitters don't make some sort of adjustment. He's going to move out there. He's changing Greg Maddux's strike zone. He's making it, he's adding 4 inches to the outside corner, so you got to move up on the plate, take those 4 inches away.
Here's the 1-2, and the breaking ball hit on the ground slowly toward short. Belliard goes to second, one lefty on to first, pulls McGriff off the bag. They wouldn't have had Sheffield anyway. So they get the force play at second. Moving over to third is Devon White.
Belliard wants to make sure he gets one here. Lemke still tries to turn it. Mark Lemke, again, with so many ways of getting out of the way and turning it. Hit the bag, step back, avoid the collision, still get the throw off. We're just seeing he's not going to get the out, save the throw.
A little bit of a tricky play right at the outset for Belliard with Bonilla crossing right in front of him. He got screened a little bit on that ball. So they're at first and third now with 2 outs for Bobby Bonilla. He doubled in the second inning, jumped on the first strike that he saw after falling behind 1-0. Takes ball 1 this time.
Strike zones are amazing. See, that pitch thrown to a left-hander does not get called for a strike. That pitch thrown to a right-hander does get called for a strike.
One ball, 1 strike down Bonilla.
Eddie Perez is a guy who looks like he has fun catching, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. He's very animated back there.
Always looking to throw to first, looking to throw to third. stealing out, steal a strike.
A little high, 2-1. There's another guy that has fun calling the game and throwing a few people out. Here's the 2-1. Little ground ball to first, but foul. And it's 2-2. Fred McGriff stayed back behind the bag that time, hoping that ball might kick back into fair territory. But it stayed foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes. One run in, runners first and third. We're in the top of the third. Marlins have jumped on top here. It's full now, 3-2.
See that pitch? That's the same one that gets rung on right-handers, but because Jeff Kellogg sets on the inside shoulder, he's looking right down the barrel. If he was setting off Eddie Perez's left shoulder with a right-hander, that's a guess call. Educated guess, but a little bit of a guess. You can't see it.
Down on strikes, Bonilla. 4th strikeout for Maddux, and he escapes with just the 1-run scoring. We go to the bottom half of the third. Marlins have taken a 1-0 lead.
Some early scores from our Office Depot scoreboard. Jeff Bagwell, a pair of homers, his 32nd and 33rd. Houston over New York over in the American League. Boston has out-hit Texas, but in the category that counts, Texas leads at 6-3. Clark's 27th homer has given Detroit a 1-0 lead, and no score early. New York against Minnesota. Minnesota actually now coming to bat bottom of the first. You're up to date on the Office Depot scoreboard.
And we go to the bottom half of the third here with the Marlins leading in 1-0, and Greg Maddux to lead things off. Maddux 3 out of 46 at the plate this year, be followed by Kenny Lofton and then Michael Tucker.
Very important sign right there.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. The decision made by Greg Maddux to stay in Atlanta and re-sign for 5 years, greatly influenced by his wife Kathy, who's very happy living here in Atlanta.
Yeah, I thought there was a lot said in a couple of simple statements she made in today's meeting.
She made a statement that, and a lot of people don't think about this, that baseball players are on the road so much that a lot of the wives and children are home alone a lot. And it's very important to have a neighborhood and an area that you like living in. And that was a part of the decision by the Madduxes to stay put.
And let me throw this into the mix. Having observed this ball club and having been around a lot, there is no wives soap opera here, too, which is very important.
Still 2-2.
There are a lot of ball clubs where some severe soap operas. This doesn't have one.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Greg. Kenny Lofton waiting on deck. Here's the 2-2. Still stays alive, just getting a piece of that one. It remains 2-2. Look out.
Good thing he's lining that into the Time Warner box after the ink is dry. So his bosses are a little further down. Well, that's all our boss.
No, they're the big guys here tonight.
Somebody get him a glove.
Full count, 3-2.
Ink's dry, and it's in the league office.
Here's the 3-2, and he walked him. Maddux works his way aboard. A leadoff walk, the 4th walk of the game, issued by Kevin Brown.
Maddux had a pretty good idea. He probably wasn't going to be able to get a hit off of him, so squared around the bunt, 3-2. So let me make that strike zone jump around a little bit. And if you watch Kevin Brown, he drops his head, then picks up the plate. and that can be somewhat disconcerting to look up and see a guy squared around the bunt, 3-2.
4 walks already issued by Kevin Brown. His season high 5. He's done that twice, once against San Diego in July, once against the Cardinals in April. And there's a strike to Kenny Lofton, 0-1. Braves still looking for their first hit off Brown. One ball, one strike. Brown pitched a no-hitter earlier this year in San Francisco. Nearly a perfect game. He hit one batter. Struck out 7. In the air to left field. Alou had him shaded toward the line. Not far to go for the catch. 1 down. And that'll bring up Michael Tucker. Tucker retired. Pitcher unassisted. His first time up. 0 for his last 15 now. Conine will play a little bit behind the runner. One ball, no strikes. Into right field. There's the first hit of the game for Atlanta off of Kevin Brown. Maddux stops at second as Tucker reaches with a 1-out single. And that'll bring up Chipper Jones. In the first inning, the Braves had the bases loaded, 1 out, and failed to score. And that was something else Bobby Cox addressed after the game last night, how many wasted opportunities the Braves have had of late. But they've gotten the base runners out there and just can't come up with a key hit. Well, again, runners first and second, 1 out for Chipper. He walked his first time up. One ball, no strikes.
Sometimes I think, though, on those wasted opportunities, you got to give your opposing pitchers a little credit. It's not like they're going to go out there and lay it down the middle. So sometimes lamenting your fate there is taking some credit away from some guys making some pretty good pitches.
And remember back when this stretch of games started. Back on July 31st in Florida, Bobby Cox was saying even then that the Braves are going to go into about a 3-week stretch where they were going to face the best pitching they've faced all year. On the ground, left side, great stop. Renteria goes to second, gets the force play. A base hit taken away from Chipper Jones, and a great play by Edgar Renteria. Runners now at first and third with 2 outs.
A lot of good, flashy young shortstops in baseball, but there may not be one in this league with more range, more quickness. Good play by Counsell, turning himself into a first baseman, stretching out, shortening the throw by about 4 feet. Difference in the play. Nice play on both ends.
And the batter will be Fred McGriff. He walked in the first inning. Fouls the first one back. But you go back to July 31st, you had the 4 games with the Marlins, then you had the Pirates twice, then you had the Cardinals, and they're good starting pitching for a couple of games. Braves handle that. Then these 4 with Florida, then 2 more with the Pirates, and then you go into St. Louis and Houston on a road trip. So you know you're going to be facing a pretty good starting pitcher each and every night.
And I think what you have to guard against is if you say, well, boy, we're doing a lousy job of hitting, that's the same thing if the other dugout said, we're doing a lousy job of hitting when they're going against Maddux, Lavin, Smoltz, and Nagel. You give some credit to some guys. They're not going to lay it down the middle.
1 ball, 1 strike down McGriff. They're
not wasted opportunities as I see it. They're opportunities taken away from you. That's not wasted.
2 men out, runners at the corners. Bounces one to first. Conine right near the bag has it, and the Braves strand 2 more. We have completed 3 at Turner Field. 1-0 Florida. Florida leads at 1-0. We're going to the top half of the fourth inning. I want to remind you, beginning Thursday at 12:05, the Superstation brings you the 79th PGA Championship from the Winged Foot Golf Club. Tiger Woods, Ernie Els, and Tom Lehman among those competing in the last major of the year. Vern Lundquist and Ernie Johnson will host the coverage starting at 12:05 Thursday here on the Superstation. And we have time to give you today's Aflac trivia question. Here it is. For which team did Jim Leyland manage his first Major League game?
Ooh, that's a good one.
See if you can remember. We'll have the answer for you in the bottom half of the inning. 1-0. Jeff Conine leads off the fourth. Here's Don.
All right, it's going to be Conine Alou and Charles Johnson. 1-4-1 for the Marlins. Brown has tiptoed through a minefield, but he's only allowed one hit. Maddux's first one is a strike, 0-1. Conine flied to right his first time. It was a productive at bat, though. His fly was deep enough that he was able to send Bonilla to third. Bonilla had let off with a double, but Alou and Johnson couldn't bring him home. No balls, 2 strikes. Conine got a pitch to his liking yesterday on the inside part. Hit it long and deep into the left field seats. That one was a little too far inside. Still 0-2. A little bit high, 1-2. Yeah, that the PGA will complete another show that's coming up in the fall on TBS, the MasterCard Grand Slam. Looking for a fourth. Strikeout for Conine. Maddux has 5. I believe he's throwing more curveballs tonight.
He has thrown a few more. Sometimes we'll see him throw maybe one a game, and it's usually later in the game when he hasn't thrown one, but he's been mixing that breaking ball in several times in the first 3+ innings here.
And that's a beauty. 1 gone. Alou picked on a high fastball and sent it to center field his last time up. Sends this one down the right side, back into the crowd, 0-1. Alou is one of those guys, much like Conine, that you can pitch him away all day and it will not set up that one pitch inside. You can pitch him down all night and it will not set up that one pitch upstairs. He'll go as high as the top of his helmet to chase one. In the air, center field, easy play for Lofton. Fly ball out, and quickly 2 are gone in the 4th inning. 2 outs for the Marlins catcher Charles Johnson. His first time up, sent one into right field. Nice running catch by Michael Tucker. Braves outfield has played some good defense this year. Doesn't matter which threesome you put out there. Johnson 5 out of 17 on the road trip. Another chance for Tucker. He can't find it. Yes, he has. At first, it looked like he had lost it, but then he found it. So a strikeout and a couple of fly ball outs give Maddux an easy inning. Marlins go 1, 2, 3. It's the Braves' turn. It's 1-0 Florida.
Give you the answer now to tonight's Aflac trivia question. The question was, for which team did Jim Leyland manage his first Major League game? How many of you remembered it was the Chicago White Sox? He replaced Tony La Russa for 2 games when La Russa was suspended back in 1985. Leyland was La Russa's third base coach back then. His first full year as a Major League manager the following year with the Pirates, and he spent 11 years before joining the White Sox as a coach, as a minor league manager at all levels. He started back at the rookie league level in the Appalachian League, all the way up to AAA, so he paid his dues before earning his first Major League job.
That Tony La Russa influence, either directly or indirectly, has sent a few managers scattered around baseball, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
Ryan Klesko's going to lead it off. It'll be Klesko, Lemke, and Perez. Klesko, first time up, jumped on the first pitch after 3 walks and grounded into a 1-2-3 double play. Takes ball 1 down low. There's ball 2 outside. Klesko 4 out of 49 and 1 out of 13 against Brown. It was a homer. Brown's tallied up a pretty good little pitch total for this early in the ball game, but it looks like as he's gotten a little tired, or he's getting a little more sink on his fastball. On the corner, 2-2. Typical of Brown, if you watch one of his ball games, and tonight got off a little shaky start, but there's only been one out recorded in the outfield. There's a base hit for Klesko. Went down and got a good pitch. A leadoff single for the Braves in the fourth. 3 out of the 4 innings, the Braves have gotten a leadoff man on, but still have been unable to dent the scoreboard. Hit number 2 for the Braves. Klesko at first for Mark Lemke. Lemke was a strikeout victim his first time up. A check swing. Went too far on a down and in slider. Lemke, who went into a little bit of a slump prior to the All-Star break. Swinging the bat up in the 280 mark since then. Pushed his average back up to 240. Marlins are wondering if he is going to be bunting. Sometimes that snap throw over is to see if he tipped it off. Bobby Bonilla is still not convinced that the Braves might not try to move Klesko along for Eddie Perez. For Brown, only 52 for Maddux. Look at the difference in the number of pitches thrown outside the strike zone.
And most of that trouble came in the first inning when he walked 3.
26, 27 pitches in the first inning?
Had 23 in the first inning, but only 9 of them were strikes.
Almost 50-50 balls and strikes for Brown. Look at the movement on that pitch. It's got to run 8-10 inches, doesn't it?
Yeah, Lemke says that there's no other pitcher to even compare him to. And that ball started out almost on the inside portion of the plate
and nipped the outside corner, making it 1-1 to Mark Lemke. Got to be tough to hit that ball in the air. One of the reasons Brown doesn't give up many home runs, like Maddux. He's only allowed 7 this whole year. Another nasty pitch, but a little out of the strike zone. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Talking with Mark about Kevin Brown, he said there are guys that throw harder. There are guys that have better breaking balls. But nobody gets the late movement and the combination of the power and the late movement that Kevin Brown gets. Nobody.
You see a lot of big, strong guys who throw hard, but they don't have the flexibility, the limber wrist that gets the movement. Not the power toward the plate, it's the rotation, the spin that causes the movement. Ties him with Hampton for the most. Another ground ball. Good play by Conine. He'll get the leading man. And Klesko gets the shortstop. Fielder's choice, 3-6.
I think it all tangled up. Nice play here by Conine. Renteria there to take the throw, and just as he gets the throw, Klesko comes barreling in. They do a little waltz down there at second base, but everybody's okay.
Smart move by Renteria, not trying to complete that throw. 1 out with Lemke at first. Here's Eddie Perez. Last time up, he jumped on top of a Kevin Brown sinker and grounded it to third. If you watch Eddie Perez hit over the course of a year, you'll see him swing over the top of a lot of down and in fastballs. A little surprised the Marlins don't play him a little bit more to pull in the infield. Up and away, 1-0. Inside, 2 balls, no strikes.
And even that pitch almost looked like it was going to hit Eddie Perez, and it almost came back and got the inside corner.
There's that grounder to third. Could be two. To Counsell. To Conine. 5-4-3, the double play. And now Kevin Brown leads the National League in ground ball out. So the Braves get the leadoff man on here again. And thanks to this fine turn at second, Braves come away empty. Through 4, 1-0 Marlins. Get off of 285 somewhere.
It's not that long
That's all
a
you got to
drive.
do now. We're headed to the top of the 5th inning. It's 1-0 Marlins. Maddux and Brown locked in a pitching duel. A couple special birthdays to celebrate tonight. Odell French down in Lumpkin turns 81. Harvey Kellum having a birthday tonight. A couple special people who always watch. Here's Counsell. Fouls the first one away, 0-1. And maybe the biggest Braves fan in all of Tennessee, 97 years old, Uncle Gilbert Allen Sr., pretty good baseball player in his day. Doesn't miss a Braves telecast. They're special people. We thank you, folks. 0-1 to Counsell. In under the hands. You don't see many youngsters come right to the big leagues and move right up on the plate, do you, like Counsell? Not a whole lot of room off that strike zone inside. Another one out of play. 1-2. Last time up, his first time up in this ball game, tripled leading off the 3rd inning. A couple of singles came after that. One of them a Devon White single, giving him his 13th RBI. That's the only run of the ball game. Fouls away another changeup. 1-2. Usually when Maddux sees a guy foul away 2 or 3 changeups, that's about time for one of those about the belt buckle, isn't it?
He does a lot of his pitching based on what has happened on the pitch or two before.
Back-to-back changeups. Right at Chipper Jones. Good pitches, good hitting. Young man, that's about the only thing you could have done with that pitch. And there's out number 1. 5 in a row set down by Greg Maddux. And here comes Kevin Brown. Brown, first time up, struck out swinging. Maddux hooked him, which will get him kicked out of the pitcher's union. Jammer, third base, tough play. Chipper's going to glove, go to first, just in time. The only way it could have been made. Maddux had no shot. It had to be a bare hand pickup. Fine defensive play for out number 2 in the top of the 5th.
And good recognition by Chipper Jones that he had a pitcher up there who was not running all that hard down the first baseline. He had quite a bit of time here, even though he had to come a long way for this ball. Didn't have to really rush the throw.
Chest high, right on the mark, out number 2. Devon White will take a few extra seconds to allow Kevin Brown to make it back in the dugout. And he'll stand in with 2 gone in the top of the 5th. 1 run on 4 hits for the Marlins. The Braves being held to 2 hits by Kevin Brown. Pete and I hope you've enjoyed this weekend series against the Marlins. It has been a great one to do, and hope you've had as much fun watching it as we have bringing it to you. Swing and a miss, 0-1.
Pirates will be here tomorrow night. Denny Nagel going for his 17th win against Esteban Loaiza. The Marlins will move to Houston to open up a 2-game series.
A little bit outside, 1-1. You were talking about Jim Leland keeping Charles Johnson in through this. He may give him that Wednesday night off in Houston. They're off Thursday. It's almost like having 3 full days off. That may be his thinking. On the corner, 1-2.
Well, they set their sights on these 2 series, no question about it. Going into the series in Florida, the Marlins, to a man, we're all saying we've got to take 3 out of 4 at least. Not only here in Florida, but when we get down to Atlanta. And if they can hang on here tonight, they'll have done just that.
That'll take care of Devon White for Maddux. His 6 strikeouts. He has now set down 8 in a row. We're halfway home. Pitcher's duel. It's 1-0 Marlins.
Well, another tight ball game as we go to the bottom half of the 5th inning at Turner Field. Joe Simpson and Skip Carey with you now, and just what we expected with these 2 pitchers.
Boy, the Braves have had their chances, though. Leadoff man on 3 times in the first 4 innings and nothing to show for it.
Yeah, first inning especially. Very frustrating with the bases loaded, 1 out. Kevin Brown has walked 4, but he has dodged a bullet. He will face Belliard, Maddux, and then Lofton here in the first inning. Rafi struck out his first time up, shows bunt, and takes strike one. A little chopper right back to the mound. One away. Kevin Brown fired a no-hitter back in June against the Giants. He also has a one-hitter this year and has a two-hitter working tonight.
Big Braves fan, Joe, and an old friend of ours, Bob Goodman, who used to be the radio TV critic for the Atlanta Journal, has been under the weather up in Asheville, North Carolina. We wish him a speedy recovery.
Absolutely.
Bob was with the Atlanta newspapers back in the 70s.
Maddux fell behind 0-2 his first time up and then drew a walk, and now he's ahead 2-0. Hitting 3 for 46 on the year, a cool 0.65. That's a strike, 2-1. Inside 3-1. Whatever he's doing to Brown, he's driving him crazy. As long as he doesn't try to check his swing again and hit one over there by his on-deck circle. I didn't like that.
Joe's daughter, Meg, was almost on the receiving end of that one.
Oh, called strike two.
There she is.
In harm's way on that one foul ball Maddux hit.
What a great little gal.
Maddux strikes out, 2 down. And the batter will be Kenny Lofton.
Just gorgeous enough to keep Daddy worried for the next 15 years.
Thanks.
Yeah, I know.
She had a good view of that foul ball. I think it
Up close and
parted her
personal.
hair, yes.
Yeah.
Kenny Lofton has walked and flied out. He got things started in the first inning. Braves had the bases loaded, 1 out on 3 walks. But Plesko hit into a 1-2-3 double play. Brown helped himself out that inning. Jeff Conine helped him out with a nice play, a couple of nice plays last inning.
This is probably my last game doing this. As Walter Banks, our dear friend who takes care of Ted and his group down in the box, saw him between innings and suggested that since Maddux tried to dehorn the boss with that line drive, that I should get the money. If that works, see ya.
Yeah, I understand. 2-1 to Lofton.
Why do I think I'll see you tomorrow?
Yeah, somehow I don't know that it works that way, but best of luck to you.
If you don't take a shot.
Yeah. Another comebacker to Brown. Second one of the inning. That, along with a strikeout, made it a very easy inning for Kevin Brown. We played 5 at Turner Field, but the Marlins leading 1-0.
Okay, we go to the 6th inning. Before we do, here's the Budweiser game summary. Not much to it tonight. 2 great pitching jobs. Craig Counsell has been the guy who did the damage, really, for the Marlins, and here's Joe.
Thanks, Skip. Edgar Renteria, Gary Sheffield, Bobby Bonilla, the heart of their order up. Renteria, 1 out of 2. Comes up empty, 0-1. He had a base hit in the 3rd inning. When the Marlins got their run, they had 3 hits. And as Skip said, Counsell with that leadoff triple, the big blow. 0-2 to Renteria.
He showed you a little something yesterday with that big clutch base hit. This kid didn't.
Yeah, and another terrific play defensively out there with saving the run with a nice play to his backhand side tonight. And a ball hit by Michael Tucker. That's going to be a tough play for Chipper. He's going to have to hurry. Strong throw got him. Chipper actually jumped for that ball, almost like to go up and get it quicker so he didn't have to wait for it. And really put a strong throw on.
I didn't think he had a chance to get him. It was hit so high, but he's got a great arm.
Jumping and getting his feet in position all at once. Nice play. Gary Sheffield, the batter, he's 0 for 2. Chipper's turned in a couple of fine defensive plays tonight, too. Sheffield homered against Maddux down in Florida, but fouled that one back. He is 2 for 14 in the series. Good pitch, 0-2. Maddux has been sharp. Even the base hit that drove in the only run of the night was a broken bat job off the swing of Devon White. Looked like he tried to jam Counsell. Got ahead of him in the count and left the pitch a little bit over the plate. And he turned on it into right center for that triple.
However, we're pitching him isn't right.
Well, probably just learning some things about him. The 0-2. Slider on the inside part of the plate. That's a rare pitch from Maddux. And maybe why it took Eddie Perez 3 choices to get to that call for the strikeout. Rarely does he throw the slider at the hitter and have it come back over the inside corner.
Yeah, it's not something you would be looking for, that's for sure. Watch the glove. He moved it, but he really didn't have to. If he hadn't moved it, the ball would have been right there.
Bobby Bonilla, the batter, with 2 down. He has doubled and struck out. 1-0. 7 strikeouts for Greg, who has issued only 4 walks in his last 77 2/3 innings. Line to McGriff. Nice play. Inning over. Some good defense being turned in. Some outstanding pitching. Time to get the hitting going. 1-0 Marlins. We go to the bottom half of the 6th inning from Turner Field. The Marlins trying to lead town, having won 3 out of 4, lead 1-0. They could lead town with a 3.5 game deficit. The Braves would like to win tonight to make sure it's a status quo situation. Get a 5.5 game lead, the same as when the Marlins came to town. And you talk to the Braves players before the game tonight, they all realized the importance of this game and called it the biggest game of the year so far. Michael Tucker, 1 for 2 tonight. Lines this one into right center field. Sheffield will have to play it on a hop. A good start to the Braves half of the 6th inning, and another good sign from Michael Tucker. He's 2 for 3 tonight.
And 4 out of 6 times the Braves have had the leadoff man on in the game. One of these times you think we could get him around the bases.
That was a good swing. Stayed back and waited. Michael has been struggling so much to get some hits of late. That'll give him some confidence. Chipper Jones has walked and hit into a fielder's choice. He actually was the guy that hit the ball that Renteria made the good play on back in the 3rd inning. It's another one that way, and Renteria got caught leaning to his left. Couldn't get it. Tucker thought about going to 3rd, but he stops at 2nd. I don't know if Tucker bluffed towards 2nd or not, but Renteria had all of his weight on his left foot and couldn't shift in time.
See what the pitch was. Well, we can't tell here. Joe's right. He broke to the left as if he didn't think that Chipper would hit the ball to left field, but he did.
That actually was closer to him than the one play he made earlier tonight.
But his body was headed in the wrong direction.
Yep. So the Braves have another chance. Tying run at 2nd. McGriff the batter. 1-0. Fred has walked and grounded out sharply to Conine at 1st. 4 for 10 in the series. Fred, 8 for 34 lifetime against Brown with a homer. Hits are even at 4 aside. That pitch very effective for Brown on many occasions. He comes flying out of his stretch position. His shoulder opens up a little bit, and you see all that motion, and you kind of jump out on your front foot, and the pitch goes away from you. You have to reach for it some. Upstairs, 3-0. Green light. I say yes. Larry Rothschild on the hot line to the bullpen, and it's going to get busy. McGriff is swinging, but he hits one right back to the mound, and Brown blew it. Instead of going to the routine double play to second base where Renteria was waiting, he thought about going to third and getting the lead runner. Instead, it works as good as a bunt for Fred McGriff. Runners at second and third. Kevin Brown did the Braves a favor.
And he is really steamed now. He is off the mound trying to hold a little staff meeting with himself because he knows he pulled a rock.
They're going to walk Klesko and pitch to Lemke. Lemke batting 6th tonight, with the Braves still missing Jeff Blauser out of the starting lineup. He's got a bad foot, injured in a play at second base that he told me tonight practically took his big toenail off. Very painful, but is available to pinch hit. So they're loaded up again with 1 out. Braves had this situation in the first inning, but a double play back to the pitcher ended that threat. It was an intentional walk, but that's the 5th issue tonight by Brown. A righty and a lefty, Helling and Heredia warming up for Florida. Tying run at third base, go-ahead run at second. And Ed Giovanola just called up from Richmond in the on-deck circle and might pinch hit. There's a strike to Lemke. And a generous strike, 0-1.
Well, you umpire. Maybe. Might have nipped the corner on its way outside.
It was moving pretty good. The 0-1 pitch. That one didn't. 1-1. Marcus struck out and hit into a force play. Bounced to Bonilla his last time up. The 1-1. Didn't want to go, but chased a bad pitch. 1-2 the count. Everybody's talked about how good these games have been, Skip, with so much strategy involved, so much on the line. Managers trying to make moves back and forth. It's been fun to watch.
It really has. It would have been a little more fun if we'd win some.
Brown stays outside, but this time Lemke doesn't offer. It's 2-2. Four pitches and a lot of balls. 50-50 for Brown. 2-2 pitch. He missed inside. Full count. Bases loaded. And this sellout crowd comes to life. The payoff pitch. A swinging bunt. Brown will come to the plate, but he pulls Johnson off the plate. Everybody's safe. Tie game. Kevin Brown's been his own worst enemy this inning. We're tied at 1.
If he gets the double play he should have gotten, he doesn't have to throw to the plate. He can just throw to first base. And this inning is over. He's running toward the line, tries to get himself straightened out, and does, and just made a terrible throw. He sidearmed the ball, and it sailed on him. It's an error, of course, and no run batted in, and Larry Rothschild is at the mound.
A 1-1 tie. It's ruled an error on the pitcher. No RBI. Bases are still loaded and 1 out. Now watch Charles Johnson on this. Sometimes you can anticipate this throw too much, Skip, and already be stretched out to make the catch, which is what Charles Johnson did. That was not that bad a throw, but he was already anticipating a perfect throw, and as a result, stretched toward Brown and then had to pull himself off the plate to make the catch.
But in fairness to Brown, he didn't have a whole lot of time because a trucker can fly down that line.
Johnson, wanting the double play, got a little greedy. He might have gotten in a hurry, and instead of giving Brown a good square target, was lined up more toward first. So here's Eddie Giovanola. Welcome back, Eddie. Bases are loaded and 1 out. Can you do something to help us? Ground ball to short. Might be 2. Inning over. Braves tie it up thanks to some fielding questions by Kevin Brown that hurt himself. But at least it's a tie ball game. A double play ends it. We go to the 7th. 1-1 our score. Well, we played 6. It looks pretty even if you look at that line score. And it is. We start all over going to the 7th. 1 defensive change for the Braves. Giovanola had hit for Eddie Perez, so Javi Lopez will take over behind the plate. And for Maddux, he'll face Conine, Alou, and Charles Johnson. And as we go to the 7th, here's Skip Carey.
Okay, Joe, thanks very much. You're right, it's even on the scoreboard, but when it comes to chances, the Braves have a big edge, and 3 double plays have not helped the situation at all. Jeff Conine's 0 for 2. He'll lead it off. Conine has flied to right and struck out. You can see Maddux getting with the program here. A little bit outside. 1 ball, no strikes.
Well, most of those pitches early came in the 3rd inning. It was a long one for him.
1 ball, no strikes. 1-1. He still has not walked a batter. He has struck out 7. His high for the year is 9. He got that May 16th against the Cardinals. A ball and a strike to count. The right-hander delivers. He bunts a pop foul back. How he can't find it, no problem. It's in the seats anyway, and it's 1-2. A lot of fans are probably saying, oh, boy, Maddux is in trouble now. He's got Javi Lopez catching him, and he doesn't like that. Well, if you think back, some of his greatest games, including that shutout in Yankee Stadium in the World Series, were caught by Javi. The 1-2 pitch just missed. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Good pitch.
Here's another look at it.
He gave him that pitch on Sheffield earlier.
Ground ball up the middle. Belliard can't get there. Base hit. Runner at first. Nobody out.
That's what makes Greg Maddux matter than anything. He might think he's got a guy struck out, and on the next pitch, a base hit. Kind of what led to problems his last outing against the Cardinals.
He was not pleased by that turn of events.
That would be a correct assumption.
11 straight men had been retired by Greg. Alou, the batter. He has twice flied to center.
They have done a great job in this series and in the job down in Florida, the Marlins have, of doing the little things right. Bunting, moving runners over, advancing them to extra bases. Let's see if they try to bunt this runner over. A potential go-ahead run.
I don't think so with this guy.
Well, he's their top RBI guy, and I would agree, but they have played it pretty close to the vest. Maybe a hit and run instead.
0-1 the count.
The manager tries to see everything.
Yep. And he's thinking 3 hitters ahead, too.
He wants to see where the infielders are playing. He wants to see how everybody moves on a pitch. And if he can find anything, without even watching the pitch to the plate, once Maddux releases it, if he sees Belliard or Lemke leaning toward the bag, he might think that one would be covering if they put on a hit-and-run play, and he might then choose to do it.
The 0-1. Swung double play ball. Belliard. Lemke. McGriff. Oh, you're right. He should have bunted.
Tell you something, Rafi didn't make any soft underhanded toss to Lemke either. He came up and threw a seed to him. He knew he had time, so he made sure he had it. And then a little flat-footed bullet to Mark to give him time to make the turn.
So 2 are down, and Charles Johnson is the batter. That ball was sharply hit, but right at him. It's the first Atlanta double play of the night. There have been 4 altogether in the game. Downstairs to Johnson. 1 ball, no strikes. Drive to deep center field. Back goes Lofton. To the wall. At the wall. He's got it. Boy, got all turned around, but he kept it together, didn't panic, and made the catch. 1 hit. No runs, no errors, nobody left. Bottom of the 7th, everybody on their feet. At Turner Field, it's 1-1.
Part of the crowd here at Turner Field as we go to the bottom of the 7th. 7th inning stretch complete. We've got a tie ball game, and let's take a look ahead at what's coming up for you on the Superstation. With respect to the Braves, the Pirates come to town tomorrow. Denny Nagel against Esteban Loaiza. We'll have that one for you. Sports South has the game on Wednesday. Then the Braves travel to St. Louis to start a 3-game series on Friday night. We'll have that one for you as well here on the Superstation from Busch Stadium. Pitching matchups for the Pirates series, Esteban Loaiza goes against Denny Nagel. And on Wednesday, John Smoltz also will work on short rest against John Lieber.
We go to the 7th inning. Rafael Belliard will lead it on.
Starting pitching coming into this game tonight does not include Kevin Brown's numbers tonight, but his have been outstanding as well against the Braves hitters. Braves only with 4 hits again tonight.
Rafael Belliard leads it off and looks at a strike, and the bottom of the 7th is underway. A 1-1 ball game. The Braves lead in the all-important loss column will be down to 2 unless they win tonight. Cap fouled on the first base line. 0-2 the count. The right-hand hitter waits. Struck him out. For the 2nd time tonight, Rafi is out on strikes. That's only the 4th strikeout for Brown, huh? Here's Greg Maddux, who has walked and struck out.
Kind of tough to talk about moral victories in August, but sending the Marlins to Houston, having gained no ground in this series, would be a huge moral victory for the Braves over the Marlins, I would guess.
And the Braves have to start proving that they can beat these guys.
Yeah.
Ground ball right back where it came from. Brown to first, 2 down. A mental mistake by Brown and a physical error by Brown, or we'd still be trailing 1-0. But boy, he's a good pitcher, isn't he?
And a tough competitor. Nobody tougher on Kevin Brown than himself.
Kenny Lofton, the batter, 0 for 2 with a walk. The difference in Greg Maddux today and before the announcement yesterday, absolutely not. Same guy.
And I got exactly the same answer from him I would get.
Bunt down the 3rd base line. Bonilla, good play. Inning over. Lost it out as Bonilla made a fine play, barehanded, and threw him out. Bobby Cox is going to come out to argue, and so is Lofton. But they're going to lose that argument, and at the end of 7, we're tied 1-1.
Time for the Delta scoreboard. Houston all over New York tonight, 8-2. Jeff Bagwell's hit another home run. Over in the American League, Texas leading Boston 8-3. Toronto on top of Detroit 4-1. Carter's hit his 17th homer of the year. Delgado is 25th. New York shutting out Minnesota behind Andy Pettit. Nothing else yet underway.
Council has been a pesky guy all weekend. It's one foul to left. It's 0-1. Darren Dalton has grabbed a bat. He will pinch hit next for Kevin Brown. Who did what he normally does, pitched a heck of a game. Grounded foul on the third base line. He broke his bat in the process.
One of the problems Craig Counsell presents to you when he's up there is that he doesn't give you much room for getting the ball by him. He's right up on top of the plate with his back foot, opens his stance up. You try to pitch him inside. He feels like with that open stance he can turn on the ball and put it in play, and is willing to slap at the ball if it's away from him and hit a line drive to Chipper, a soft line drive his last time up.
Congratulations to Barbara Miller of Pine Ridge Elementary School, Dr. Mary Helen Freeman of Camp Creek Elementary School, Kim Gassaway of Lassiter High School. They are recipients of Bell South Excellent in Education Awards, presented by the Bell South Foundation tonight. 3 teachers. How important are they to our kids?
Ought to be more of that.
A ball and 2 strikes. The way Council's played, he's going to be able to put that degree he got at Notre Dame in accounting to good use. A little one-hopper that time to Lemke, who throws him out, 1 away. He's 1 for 3 tonight, hitting well over 300. He might be adding up some big numbers himself before it's all over.
That's right.
Here's Dalton pinch hitting for Brown. And if you're a Braves fan, I think that's okay with us. We'll take our chances with whoever comes next.
Yeah, it's one of those. Can't be any tougher.
Felix Heredia will apparently come on with Tucker, Chipper, and McGriff, and then Klesko coming up. Dalton takes it inside. He's hitting .265, 12 homers. There's Felix. The Bucco is here tomorrow, 2-0 the count. Denny Nagel and Esteban Loaiza pitch tomorrow night. Then John Smoltz against Francisco Cordova.
I would bet that the Pirates are already in town. I believe they had an off day today.
Yeah, they did. They got swept in Colorado. That's right. 3-0. This is unique. Just 1 out in the inning on the top of the order. Coming up next, let's see if Jim Leyland rolls the dice here. 3-0.
I think he went to a 3-ball count on Devon White to start the game, and that's the only other time.
He is swinging and a high fly into center. If he pulls it, he might be in business, but it's an easy play and 2 out. And the 3-0 count does him no harm.
By the way, we really didn't talk much about that play Kenny Lofton made off the bat of Charles Johnson to end the 7th inning, but that was a terrific play. It was like he knew exactly where the ball was going to come down, and even though he got turned around, he was in the right spot to make the catch.
Devon White, the batter, with 2 out. He drove in his 13th run of the year with a broken bat single in the 3rd. Their run scored on a broken bat hit. The Braves' run scored on an error. White takes a strike on the corner, 0-1. On the corner. White didn't think much of either of those pitches. A look can tell 1,000 words, and I think that one did. 47,870 the paid attendance tonight. Another solid. A ball and 2 strikes. You know, you worry about a guy like Maddux. All that money and all the celebrity that has come in the last 24 hours, trying too hard, but he's just been steady as a rock. 2-2.
Yeah, I started to say that he gave me the same answer tonight that he would give me if I just told him nice play on a card game or something. He stuck his hand out and said, thanks, dude.
Thanks, dude. Yeah. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fouled it back. It's 2-2.
And that picture of him on the front page of the Atlanta paper today was worth more than 1,000 words. That little smile on his face is priceless. I told him he ought to cut that out and hang it on his wall.
I bet he has, or will. The 2-2 pitch, here it is. Oh, he's run it full again. 3-2. Renteria is next. 93 pitches for Greg. Did he go? No.
First walk in 25 2/3 innings. Let's see if he should have gotten the call. The breaking ball was cutting in a little bit. Didn't miss the plate, but Devon White.
Ooh, boy.
I'm not so sure that he shouldn't have gotten rung up, but he didn't get the call. 2-out walk.
So you forget about it now and go after Renteria, who is 1 for 3 and got the big hit to give them the lead for good yesterday. Now Maddux and Lopez will get together. Houston still all over the Mets. 8-2 in the 6th.
This might be a strategy message from Maddux to Lopez about how he wants to pitch him, how he's gotten him out tonight. Renteria 1 for 3, but he struck him out in the first inning. And with Javi just coming into the ball game, not familiar with the first couple of times through the order and how he pitched him.
The stretch. White has good speed. He's not running. Outside, 1 ball, no strikes. The plate begins to jump around on Maddux. Don't forget, Dalton had a 3-0 count when he swung away and fouled out. That was followed by a walk, and now he falls behind Renteria. Only the 4th native of Colombia to ever play in the major leagues, Edgar Renteria.
Greg getting close to 100 pitches on the evening. And a little humid here tonight, but not too taxing weather-wise.
No bullpen action for Atlanta. They chase White back to first. Braves crossed the 2.5 million customers plateau this evening for the 6th straight year. The 1-0 pitch.
Good time to go over. Looked like Devon White was leaning.
One ball, no strikes. There's a strike right on the corner. 1-1. Renteria didn't think so. He is a good-looking young player.
He's pesky at the plate. I know that. He sprays line drives all over the place. And proved to be a clutch hitter yesterday.
White edges away. Maddux throws over. Greg's weakness is holding runners on. And he's keeping a close eye, or trying to, on Devon White. A ball and a strike. The 1-1. Swung, fly ball down the right field line. Trouble if it's fair, but it curves foul. That gets the go-ahead run home if it's a fair ball. Renteria not afraid to go the other way. He tries to hit the ball where it's pitched, and he doesn't appear to have a real good strike zone. You can see he slaps the ball all over the place. And he doesn't just hit strikes, which frustrates a guy like Maddux.
Yeah, he's taken a bit of an inside-out approach to Greg, trying to make sure he's got that outside part of the plate covered. Almost created a big problem with Devon White running. It doesn't even have to be a long double for him to score.
A ball and 2 strikes. High pop into short center. Lofton is there, and the inning is over. No hits, no runs, no errors. 1 left, bottom of the 8th. Braves won, Marlins won.
Still a tie game as we go to the bottom half of the 8th inning. And listen to this. Beginning Thursday at 12:05, TBS will bring you the 79th PGA Championship from the Wingfoot Golf Club. Tiger Woods, Ernie Els, Tom Lehman are among those competing in the last major of the year. Vern Lundquist and Ernie Johnson will host the coverage starting at 12:05 Thursday here on the Superstation, and our old pal Ken Nolan will be doing the producing for that project. And
the Killer Man.
Killer Man.
Here we go to the bottom of the 8th. Felix Heredia comes on to pitch. 1-5-1 for the Marlins, 1-4-0 for the Braves. And Andrew Jones is going to come out and pinch hit for Michael Tucker.
Good night for Tucker. Looks like he might be back on the right track.
Jones will stay in the game and play in the outfield. Heredia ready to go to work. A 1-1 ball game. Heredia out of the Dominican Republic. The young left-hander delivers. Ground ball to the shortstop. Renteria has that. 1 pitch. 1 out in the 8th. And Chipper Jones turns around and hits the other way. He's 1 for 2 tonight with a walk.
Neither one of these two outstanding pitchers, starting pitchers, were around for a decision in the game down in Florida. A game the Marlins eventually won 3-2. Maddux went 7. Brown went 8. Not sure if Greg Maddux will still be in there for the 9th inning. We'll wait to see.
Mark Wohlers is throwing in the bullpen, we're told. Chipper Jones the batter. Heredia just 21 years old. He and Johnson can't get together. He's out of Barahona in the Dominican, lives now in Santo Domingo. Signed as a non-drafted free agent back in '92. 1 out, nobody aboard. A home run cut. Chipper's yet to hit one from the right side. What better time? A ball and a strike. Felix Heredia gets ready. No, he's not. He steps back off the mound. After seeing Maddux and Brown pitch, he looks like he pitches much more slowly than he actually does. Those two guys just get it and throw it. The 1-1. Downstairs, 2 balls, 1 strike.
Chipper may not have any home runs from this side of the plate, Skip, but he gets the pitch count a little more in his favor, even to a 3-1 count. You turn the odds up a little bit better in his favor.
2-2. He just signed a deal today to do advertisements for Coca-Cola Classic.
Is that right?
We congratulate him on that. The 2-2 pitch. Fouled it back. He had a good cut.
Yes, he did. He was looking for something else on the pitch before when he took that fastball, but certainly went back to the fastball look that time.
So the 2-2 pitch will be forthcoming. The Braves have managed 4 hits tonight. They've hit into 3 double plays. Boy, he is deliberate.
Chipper has that look, too, that he's ready to smoke one, too.
A little chopper fouled on the third base line. Still 2-2. Dan Reagan, our director tonight, Glenn Diamond, our producer. They're providing you the good pictures with the best crew in the history of baseball. Heredia and Johnson get together, and Jeff Kellogg is about ready to go out and say, what's going on here?
This park looks great. I mean, the longer we're here and the more accustomed we get to it, it's just beginning to feel so comfortable here. But with these packed houses we've had for, gosh, a couple of weeks, at least even longer since school was out, it's really a beautiful place.
The 2-2. Strike 3 called over the inside corner. And he knew it. Heredia smoked him inside. 2 down.
Fastball. And Chipper got caught looking at 2 fastballs in that pitch sequence. That might have been a bit of a cutter.
That's the pitch Tom Glavine and Denny Nagel employ so effectively. They get you leaning out over the plate and bust you inside. So 2 are out. It's up to Fred. If the Braves are going to take a lead here in the 8th. On the corner, 0-1. McGriff against left-handers hitting .274 with 5 homers. Danny Bautista's grabbed a bat to hit next. A ball and a strike. There are, however, 2 out in the inning.
Heredia not afraid to throw his fastball. Fred might get one he can handle.
Foul tip back. It's 1-2. That one knocked the glove off the hand of Charles Johnson. Let's see if he's all right. He is. That's the other thing. He is a tough customer back there.
And he's gotten several dings tonight. A couple of foul tips that got him. A couple off the bat of Greg Maddux that nailed him earlier in the game.
The 1-2 pitch. Good breaking ball, and the inning is over. Fred argues about it, but it looked good from up here. So Heredia comes in and looks sensational, striking out 2 of the 3 men he faced at the end of 8, all tied 1-1.
We go to the 9th here at Turner Field. Coming up after the game, Christopher Walken stars in Stephen King's tale of a psychic and foresees nuclear war launched by the president. The Dead Zone, part of Movies to Die For, coming up next year on the Superstation, scheduled for a 10:35 start. After the contest tonight, a new pitcher for the Braves after Greg Maddux works 8 innings.
Maddux went 8 innings, 5 hits, a run, a walk, 7 strikeouts, and Mark Wohlers will come on to work. And he's got some tough dudes to face. Sheffield, Bonilla, and Conine. Maddux 98 pitches tonight.
3rd straight start for him where he gets no decision. And he and Brown come away even up after 2 starts head-to-head in Florida and here. Neither one get a decision.
Well, it's certain that neither of them deserved a loss in this game. Sheffield leads it off. He is 1 for 15 in his career against Wohlers. Bonilla is 1 for 7. Conine is 2 out of 10. So if that has any bearing, it should be an easy inning, but you never know. Sheffield tonight has grounded to short. He has hit into a fielder's choice. He has struck out looking. All that was against Maddux. Now Wohlers goes to work. Foul, but hit like a bullet down the 3rd base line. 0-1.
Mark was the only bullpen pitcher that was not used yesterday. He said he was surprised that he wasn't in there, but he said available if needed.
Well, he's in there tonight. 0-1 the count. It's a tie ball game in the 9th. Smoked into center, but Lofton is right there in his tracks in 1 step. 1 out.
I asked him, Skip, why he went back to the windup. He worked for 2 or 3 outings strictly out of the stretch, and he said that on a side session with Leo Mazzoni, he said, the last 3 or 4 pitches I threw out of the windup, and he said, it felt so good. My release point and everything felt so lively coming out of my hand. I had a little more movement than I'd had before, so I decided to go back to the windup, and he feels better because of it.
Here's Bonilla. That should be easy. Pac-Man has it. Since Bobby's not running, it's even easier. 2 down. And Jeff Conine is the batter. Conine tonight has flied to right, struck out, and single. 10 innings yesterday, maybe extra innings tonight. Got around late. It's 0-1.
I really appreciated what Jim Leland said yesterday in that post-game interview about.
Oh, he was great, wasn't he?
I have to go up and think about that move I made in the 10th inning, see if I messed up burning Eisenreich. Been a lot of strategy in these 2 series these 2 teams have played over the last 2 weekends.
0-2 the count. I wonder if Glenn gave him the camera or kept it for himself. What do you think?
Well, he probably, if I know Glenn, he probably took his picture, shook his hand, and told him he'd send him the film.
The 0-2 pitch, here it is. Upstairs, a ball and 2 strikes. The way you treat our coordinating producer, Joe, is just awesome. 1-2 the count.
I'm only drawing from a long list of notes.
Two out, nobody on. The 1-2. Foul back again. He's getting pretty good swings, but he's late, as are most against Mark Wohlers.
Well, remember yesterday against Tom Glavine, he was fouling off pitch after pitch. Kept moving up on the plate a little bit closer, a little bit closer. Finally got a pitch he could handle and yanked one out of the park.
We do not need that. No, at this point in time. He went. The inning is over. Conine argues about it, but he is out of there. And I really don't blame him for arguing if they say he went around, because I don't think he did. But don't tell anybody. No hits, no runs, no errors, nobody left. Bottom of the 9th. Braves can win it. We're tied 1-1. Bottom half of the 9th inning here. Heredia stays on to pitch. Jay Powell is in the bullpen for the Marlins. And Ryan Klesko will lead it off. Ryan hitting 188 against left-handers. He does have 3 homers against them. And his hitting just 0.97 in August, 3 out of 31. A long one here would be very nice. Don't forget, Tom Glavine and Mark Wohlers dressed as Revolutionary War soldiers. You'll see that in the August issue of Shop Talk. You get the full story of the Braves' impending return to Boston. Call 1-800-700-CHOP to subscribe to the official monthly magazine of the Atlanta Braves. Klesko stands in there. He's 1 for 2 with a walk. Upstairs started to go, held up. The wind, the pitch. 2-0 the count. 4th, if we don't score in this inning, it will be the 4th extra inning game of the season between these 2 teams, and the Marlins have won 2 of the first 3. High and inside, 3-0.
Isn't it funny? Bobby was all set to pinch hit Bautista against Heredia if a runner had reached in the bottom of the 8th. Rather than burn a player, he sends Klesko up there to lead off the inning, and now Heredia can't throw a strike to save his life to Ryan.
Do you gamble at all here and let him swing 3-0?
I wouldn't.
Oh, he shortened the bunt and took it high. And the winning run, potentially, is at first base with nobody out.
One more gray hair for Jim Leland.
How do you play it here? You got Javi Lopez on deck as Lemke bats. If you bunt, you figure they walk Lopez and pitch to Belliard.
Or a pinch hitter.
But who's left to play shortstop? Well, Tony Graffanino. Jim Leland is on his way to the mound. Let's see if he's going to make a move here. He has not yet asked for the ball.
It's an obvious bunt situation. Maybe he wants to gamble and try to take the bunt away from Mark Lemke. Have Bonilla and Conine really charge Lemke and try to take it away from him and get the lead runner. It's a chance, but that might be one of the things they're talking about here.
The Lemmer tonight 0 for 3 has reached on an error. He is probably the best bunter on this ball club other than maybe Tom Glavine.
Or Kenny Lofton.
Yeah, well, that's right. And that's what he's doing. Conine looks at second, throws to first. And he looks like he's upset with himself that he didn't go ahead and throw to second. Now base hit wins it, but it gives him a chance to pitch around Lopez, and Graffanino's on deck.
Braves are doing the little things tonight. Great job by Lemke. He may be upset with himself, but I don't think he would have had Klesko, frankly.
Yeah, they're going to put him on, as you knew they would. And the crowd will soon begin to boo. So 2 will be on with 1 out. Tony Graffanino will be the hitter. Braves have already used Giovanola. They've used Perez and Lopez. Jeff Blauser is still on the bench. He can't run, but he can still swing the bat. Danny Bautista is still on the bench. And Graffanino is still on the bench, and he's going to hit right here. Braves have hit into 3 double plays tonight. Let's see who it is that Graffanino hits against. Lopez walks to first.
And those double plays they've hit into tonight equal the most they've hit into in any game, but they've done it 3 other times. Here comes Leland.
And this is his second trip out, so you know that's the end of the night for Felix Heredia. And we think it's Jay Powell coming out of the bullpen. We'll find out as we go along here, but right now Jim Leland has made the Bell South call to the bullpen.
As the Marlins make their pitching change, an update on the scores that are still going on around baseball in the National League. Houston leading New York 8-2. They go to the bottom of the 8th. All the other action in the National League out on the West Coast. Texas beat Boston 8-3. Benji Gill had a home run in that ball game. Toronto leading Detroit now 8-1. Carter and Delgado home runs there. New York still shutting out Toronto. Or was that 8-1 now? Beg your pardon? 8-0. Pettit still has his shutout going. Milwaukee's at Seattle. That game about to get underway as well.
Tony Graffanino 0 for 3 in his career against Jay Powell, the big hard-throwing right-hander. Chipper Jones talks it over with Bautista and Graffanino as Powell was striding in from the bullpen.
Pretty interesting, isn't it, for Chipper to come over and call those guys both back from the on-deck circle to give them a little tip as to how Powell maybe pitched him the last game or two.
Well, Chipper should know he's 2 for 4 against him. But right now it's Tony Graffanino's the man on the spot, and Bautista waits to hit after him. Powell about ready to go. He's a hard-throwing right-hander. He's out of Tennessee, out of Mississippi, makes his home in Tennessee. Collinsville, Tennessee, was born in Meridian, Mississippi.
He has not faced Graffanino in this series and missed him yesterday, but did face Danny Bautista once and struck him out.
Powell, another of the fine players that have come out of Mississippi State University's baseball program.
But you're right, he does throw hard and has a good breaking ball.
The stretch. Upstairs, 1 ball, no strikes. A walk would fit nicely into the proceedings.
That it would.
Get the winning run to third, and Klesko, for a big man, runs extremely well.
Tony just has to think about staying on the ball. Don't try to yank it. He hangs one fine, but don't pull off of anything.
High 2-0, high breaking ball.
And now he can make him get the ball down to that list of things, too.
Powell paws around the mound. Another gray hair for Jim Leyland. The 2-0 pitch. There's a strike right in there, 2-1. Graffinino thought it was high.
Boy, that had a smoke trail behind it, too. He is throwing hard. Bobby didn't like it. Bobby can't tell if a pitch is inside or outside much from his vantage point, but he can tell up and down.
Looked pretty good to me. The 2-1 pitch. High, ball 3.
Good patience by Graffinino here, too.
He threw him a fastball 2-0. You'd almost have to look for one here, wouldn't you?
Yep. And Tony can shrink his strike zone down to a small little spot that he's looking for a pitch. And usually that's right down the middle.
Klesko gets a pretty good lead at second. He's the only run that matters. The stretch. 3-1. Right in there. He took the fastball. It's 3-2. Okay. First guess the manager. Do you send the runners on this 3-2 pitch? Risk a strike them out, throw them out, double play, or do you keep them at home?
I'd like to take a couple of shots at getting him home. If he strikes out, that'd still give me a chance to drive in the winning run.
See how Bobby plays it. 3-2 the count. Powell comes set, and the payoff pitch will not be made. He was hoping that the runners were going and they'd break too early and he could get a pickup. But he was foiled.
Brian Klesko even made a signal into Tony Graffinino to make him get the ball down.
Johnson and Powell want to talk. The crowd boos, but boy, if you're not sure on this spot, you better go out there and make sure.
Well, there's only one pitch Tony Graffinino can really look for here, and that's his good fastball. He throws too hard to look for anything else and try to adjust. So the discussion here is mostly not about what pitch to throw for Powell, but where to throw it. And as hard as he throws, just get it over is all Jim Leyland wants him to do, and the Marlins will take their chances.
3-2 pitch. He does it again. And 47,870 boo him. 1 out. We still don't know what the runners are going to do on the 3-2 pitch. They're running. Ball 4. He just missed and he threw him a breaking ball, Joe.
I am shocked by that. Take a look at the pitch. No, it was a fastball, Skip. They tried to cut it back over the inside part of the plate, and it didn't make it. I think Charles Johnson still thought it was a strike, and he was ready to throw, but a big break for Atlanta.
Klesko and Bonilla talk it over at third base. Now it's Danny Bautista and Kenny Lofton, the next 2 hitters. That must have been a cut fastball, because I swear it broke.
Yeah, it did. Well,
5 inches.
And it was sinking. It was going down. Made it look like it was breaking, but I'm really surprised he tried to be that fine with it.
Especially after the guy took to Fastballs down the middle. That's 8 walks tonight for the Marlins pitchers.
Well, this is a golden opportunity, needless to say, and the Braves have had other opportunities. Now a chance given to them by the Marlins, thanks to the walk, to win it with just a fly ball. The outfield even drawn in, too.
It's a little league depth, and the infield is halfway. The stretch, the pitch to Bautista. Swung at a fly ball into right field. Sheffield is back. Klesko tags. Here's the catch. Here comes Klesko. Here's the throw. He is safe, and the Braves win. Bautista jumped on the first pitch and got enough of it. And the Braves have earned a split with the Marlins and lead by 4 on the all-important loss side. Listen to this crowd.
Danny Bautista has had a lot of big hits for the Braves, but perhaps none bigger than this, and it wasn't even a base hit, but just a fly ball. That's all they needed. It was a fastball down the middle. He got enough of it to get it out to Sheffield. Klesko made sure he caught it before he broke, and all he could do was air it out for a chance to get Ryan, and his throw is off the mark. Klesko scores easily, and the Braves split the series 2 games apiece. Back with totals and highlights right after this. The split with a 2-1 victory tonight as they win it in the bottom of the 9th. And our AutoZone player of the game is Danny Bautista, who provided the heroics with a sacrifice fly in the 9th inning to right field to drive in the run and put the Braves on top. And you can see a reaction to the Braves bench when that winning run crossed.
Now, you don't think this is a big game. That pretty well belies that. Danny Bautista has been kind enough to join us. Thanks for being with us. First of all, Danny, a nice go, and you hit the daylights out of the ball in a big spot. You were looking fastball, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Hit it good. What I'd like to know, Danny, is Chipper Jones called you and Tony Graffinino over to the dugout before that when Jay Powell came into the game. What did Chipper say to you?
Oh, yeah. Chipper said to us, looking for a breaking ball outside, and, you know, well, I have my playing games, and I was looking for something I can hit, you know. He threw me fastball, inside fastball, and I hit it.
Danny, I think it's tremendously courageous of you to come back and play after the way you got hurt last year. Any lingering effects of that, or are you 100%?
I'm 100% right now, and, you know, I don't try to remember what happened last year to me, and I working hard in the winter time last year. I played winter ball, and that's helped me a lot to coming back to the baseball.
Danny, you and I talked about this a few days ago on a radio interview, that Rafael Belliard said that Danny Bautista is certainly not afraid to do some extra work, and that extra work is paying off for you. You've had some big hits for the club.
Oh, yeah, you know, we come from Dominican Republic. That's, you know, way back there, and we had to work hard to make it to the big league, and I never stopped to work. I will keep working hard, and I'm going to keep playing hard.
Danny, thanks for being with us. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. For being our guest, Danny Bautista receives an Advantix 3600 camera from Kodak. Totals and the highlights after this.
Well, the Braves fight back. They tie it in the 6th thanks to some mental mistakes and a physical error by Kevin Brown. And in the 9th, they win it without the benefit of a hit. 3 walks and a sacrifice fly doing the Marlins tonight as the Braves win it 2-1. Braves left 8 men on base. The Marlins 4. 47,870 here tonight. Another sellout in the game. Took 2 hours and 31 minutes.
8 Marlin walks, and finally one of them came around to score the winning run in the 9th inning. Our next Braves telecast tomorrow at 7:35 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Coming up at 10:35 here on the Superstation, Christopher Walken stars in The Dead Zone, part of Movies to Die For. For Joe Simpson, Pete Van Wieren, Don Sutton, our entire TBS crew, Skip Carey from Turner Field. Good night's work for the Braves. So long, everybody.